Hello and welcome to the Indila Podcast, episode 2. Today we are focusing all on Dernière Danse, Indila's first solo single and music video, this iconic song and video which is very well known to every dreamer. I'm Joey,
And I'm Rain.
and we have no Utku today because his sister is getting married this week, so congratulations to her. And Noor also is unfortunately busy with a lecture today. Um, Dernière Danse. This is, I guess it's kind of the first song that we usually think about when we think about Indila. Rain, do you remember when and where you first heard it?
I think it was back in 2014, and I remember hearing it on the radio for like several times, but I was for some reason unable to find the song. But at some point, I remember looking up the radio station's frequency and just going through everything, like every record, and finding it, and it was really worth it because that like I think that song changed my life. And I think she was right when she made it to a lead song of her album.
Yeah, I agree. I think she said before that Dernière Danse came at the end of the writing process. It wasn't kind of there from the beginning. The album was almost done, and then she came up with the idea of Dernière Danse, and she thought, oh, that should be the single. This song is very special to me, not only because of how iconic it is for the Dreamers, but it was also the first song that I heard related to Indila. And I'm very lucky that I actually know precisely when I heard it because I had a friend of mine called Nicoletta on Facebook sent me the link to Dernière Danse because it wasn't really well known in the UK, but she was from Romania and it was successful in Romania. And when I became a big fan of Indira, I went back and checked my messages and I found out that it was precisely 4:55 in the afternoon UK time on the 10th of December 2015 that she sent me that. And that was when I first heard that song. And it only had 250 million views back then, which was still a huge amount, but much less than it has now. And I thought at first, instantly, wow, this music video is beautifully made. It's so dramatic. It's clearly like a big production. And also, of course, her voice was just beautiful. Even though I didn't speak French, I couldn't understand anything. I was in love with her voice. And yeah, if we talk first about the locations of the music video, I found on I think it was a French YouTuber years ago did an analysis of the song, and they showed the locations where the door was, the famous door. It's number 14 Rue Lalo, near the Arc de Triomphe. And when I was in Paris in 2019, I went there and I saw the famous cafe and the famous street and the famous door. And then very close to that is the park where you've got the lake and the steps, and she's all among the trees. And there's that famous view of Paris, which, if I'm correct, the view is a green screen. It's not real. I mean, it must be real from somewhere, but it's not from that balcony because that balcony just overlooks the lake. Um, but it was amazing to be there and to walk up those steps and to sit on that stone that she's lying on. And
I thought it was real for a long time. Uh, did you go there? Like the scenery where she was like laying on the rock?
I did, yeah, yeah.
How does it look like up there?
It's not very high. That's the strange thing. Like you think yeah, the video makes it look like it's a view all over Paris, but it's actually just, you know, when you see her walking up the bank of the river
Yes.
or of the lake, it's just up that bank. It's just up the steps, and then it's a beautiful view because you're looking over the lake, but it's just the lake and trees. So it's very cleverly done. And I wasn't even 100% certain that it was the right place. When I compared, my photos to the music video, I think it must be correct because the rock and the tree all looks the same.
You discovered this back in 2019, right?
Yeah, well, I discovered the locations beforehand in a video in like 2017, and then I went to these places when I was in Paris in 2019. Yeah. And then it's become a kind of pilgrimage place for dreamers because Emma, the French dreamer, she went there, and Julia, a Polish dreamer, has also been there, and to the cafe on the street as well. So it's a tourist location for dreamers now. Uh, Another interesting thing about the lyrics, Indila likes to do this paranomasia, like a play. It's a play on words, and the very famous line right at the beginning of the song, "O ma douce souffrance," means "Oh my sweet suffering," but it also sounds like "douce France," which means sweet France, and it's thought that she is paying homage to or paying tribute to Charles Trenet, who was a French singer of the 20th century who had a song called Douce France. And that phrase also may come from a line in a very old French poem called the Chanson de Roland, where a knight called Roland, he fought a big battle in northern Spain. And as he's dying at the end, he looks from the mountains and he sees his sweet France, douce France. Indila studied literature at university, so it's possible that she's making a link there. Um, she also says, Salut, je suis un peu paro. So I am a little paro. And I've seen French people have debated the meaning of paro many times because it's not really a standard French word. Um, but I think Indila said that it comes from like paroxysm, which is like a kind of mental trauma or a state of like mental suffering. But there is interestingly a Indian novel called Devdas, which features a young woman called Paro, who falls in love with a man called Devdas, and she can't marry him for social reasons, and she's heartbroken. So, because of course Indila loves Indian culture, we can wonder, is she making a link to this Indian novel and a woman called Paro?
I remember people being so mad over the word "taro." I think people thought she was butchering the language, and she didn't she wasn't meant to sing in French, and she shouldn't have. And there's other backlashes too about the arabesque air in the song. I think it makes the song even better. And as a person that listened to these kind of songs throughout my childhood because of my region, it makes sense. And does it make sense to you as an English person? Like, is this kind of songs, do they sound good to you?
Yeah, I think the British music scene is interesting because it's so rare that any songs in foreign languages become popular. I mean, occasionally, like some Italian songs have been popular in the UK, sometimes Spanish songs, but the UK doesn't have much interest in French songs in general. But personally, I love this kind of mix of other cultures that she has, and I think it's silly to criticize her for using some inventive language or some play on words in her lyrics because Indila is also a strong advocate for the French language. She participated once in like a day of the French language, which French has every year, and she's clearly like she's said. I mean, she make bases this whole video in Paris. She's said very clearly that she's very, very proud of Paris, but at the same time, she is an enfant du monde, and this is probably the most famous line of all of Indila's lyrics for the Dreamers. Je suis une enfant du monde. What's what does being an enfant du monde mean to you, Rain?
I think that that sentence explains her fully because she's someone that is multiracial, and even though she's multiracial, she seems to not be stick to kind of culture. She's just like everything and everywhere at once. And she actually explained this where she doesn't explain, she doesn't want to reveal her age, her real name. She's just a being and an idea. And I think that's pretty beautiful because it actually encourages people to listen to her more, not because of her like personality, but her own musical ideas. And I think this applies to Dreamers too, because we're only here for her music. And that actually connects us really well. And I think she has a quote for this. It should be something like La musique fait vivre et peut rendre possible, makes everything possible, as she said. And I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree with you, actually. I think, like you say, it's her way of kind of uh, putting focus on the music. Like, it doesn't really matter where she's come from. It's like her personal details of her personal life don't matter. What matters is that she is a musical note and, wandering around on a melody that pleases her. And she will take inspiration from any culture and any nationality, any part of the world. And I think that fits the Dreamers very well because we are all from completely different parts of the world. I also love the imagery of of the music video. I mean, I can't hear the word Dernière Danse, the two words, without thinking of her wearing that like jeans jacket, the denim jacket, and the brown suitcase, and the white skirt or dress, and the brown boots or black boots. And yeah, it's so iconic. We associate it so much with India now, and it's strange to think that in 2013 there was already an Indila image. And I guess it was maybe a bit of a shock to people who knew her from the rap scene to suddenly see her in Dernière Danse.
I remember that outfit being so popular until 2015s and 16s. I I don't think she thought about making this much of a change in the fashion industry, but I remember everyone wearing the same outfit, like white dress and denim jacket.
Even in Turkey.
I think yes.
Wow. It's also remarkable that the song has had such an enduring success after so many years. When Dernière Danse came out, it was the end of 2013. Earlier that year, Baboute by Stromae had been hugely successful, and that was the most viewed French song on YouTube for many years. And Dernière Danse was number two. But year after year, it's continued to average like 100 million views per year, and she's reached more and more people. In 2019, I think there was a particular uh, trend in southern India where there were some viral videos that spread with Dernière Danse in the background. And so suddenly she acquired many Indian fans. And then also, I think in 2020, it became very successful in Brazil as well. And it has since overtaken Papote and is now by far the most viewed French song on YouTube with more than 1.2 billion views, which is like, I mean, I know it doesn't work this way, but if each person had only viewed it once, that would be like 1 in 7 people in the entire world have seen Dernière Danse. It's, I mean, do you have any idea why exactly it became that successful?
I don't know much about music, but I know that it's really catchy, and the melody that it has, it can stick to people. And I mean, she always had like waves of fame throughout the years. And the song being multicultural and having kind of sounds from all around the world contributes to that. And I think that's why people found a part of themselves in the song.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that all of her music videos are like they're like mini movies. Like they're not just basic video music videos. They're beautifully made with beautiful locations. And at least of her solo songs, this was the first. And we should thank the director of the music video, Sylvain Bressolette, for that. And we should also probably thank Skalpavich, her producer, who I guess made that very catchy, dum 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 dum. And that actually also is adapted from a song called Parce que tu crois by Charles Aznavour, who was a legend of the French music scene, and he also was a very big supporter of Indila early on in her career. And they even made a song together, Mon Fou l'Amour, which we will talk about in a future episode. An interesting question, which I've always wondered about, is when exactly Dernière Danse was filmed, because of course we know it's her first music video of the mini world era. It was released in December 2013. And I believe I'm right in to say that in September or August 2013, she posted a photo on Twitter which showed her at the balcony with the view in the background. But then when she's walking along the riverbank, we see daffodils, like yellow flowers, like narcissus flower. And I believe that those flowers are only around in like January, February, March. So my theory is that it was filmed in early 2013, but I don't know. And we have very few photos from the filming because, of course, I guess there was less of a buzz around that than there was around Tourne dans le vide or SOS because by that time she was, very successful and famous already.
I always assumed that it was released the time it was because it has this dark atmosphere, and it really matches with December 13th. Like I never assumed it was going to be something else, but now you mentioned the flowers, it makes sense. And I never thought it was going to be like take this much time. I'm not saying that it's because it's an easy project. It's not, but it's really minimalistic, and it's just her being around Paris and doing nothing much. So I always assume it's going to be around November, December, but apparently it's not.
Again, I also thought at first it was probably filmed, very shortly before it was released because Tourne dans le vide, we know that that was filmed in March and it was released in April. SOS was filmed in late May or early June, and it was released in June. Love Story was filmed in October, released in November. Ballad of Dead was filmed in October, released in November. But yeah, we know from the photo that it was filmed, from the Twitter photo, that it was filmed at least some months before, at least part of it. And the daffodils suggest it was earlier in the year. Also, there's a photo of her on the street with a kind of towel, or not a towel, a kind of blanket over her shoulders, suggesting it was cold. And I think now I think about it, I think she did mention that it was a very cold day. So maybe it was January or February. If anyone is listening who knows more, please let us know.
I think we people had like similar experience when it comes to understanding lyrics, even though I knew it was something really like agonizing. Uh, People misheard the lyrics, especially in Turkish, because uh, like in the main part of the song, it goes like "Ampudamur Ambrandimiel." I heard it as, and lots of people heard it as Ankara Muğla, which is like two cities from Turkey, and it happened like the same happened with SOS. Atontu Medetres. We heard it as like Atatürk Nerede, and I think people like if someone Turkish watching this, you will get this, and you will probably heard this back in 2015 or 14. And yeah, I found this really funny.
Yes, I remember one day some viral Turkish video was made with SOS saying that she's saying Atatürk nerede, like where is Atatürk? And there were so many comments on the YouTube video saying, "Oh, where is Atatürk? He's in our hearts." Um, and yeah, also when she says in Dernière Danse, "Sans toi ma vie n'est qu'un décor qui brille vide de sens," it always sounded to me like "do the salsa," and I know other people would hear that too. And there was a Russian interpretation of it as like the chorus was something to do with flies. I can't remember. But it's interesting that many people hear the same thing.
And in the bridge of the song, the chanting part where she just opened up her arms. I thought it was French. So when I was learning French, I always assumed that I was going to find out what they were chanting about. But I think that was in Latin, or maybe not in. Maybe it was nonsense. Maybe it's just some harmonizing. But I always wanted it to make sense.
Yes, same with me. I actually spoke to this about this very recently with a dreamer called Alex from Lebanon. Um, yeah, I assume it's Latin. I mean, there's a style of music called Gregorian chant Gregorian, which is Latin, which Indila has said that she loves. So I think it's something to do with that. And we also hear it in Ballad of Dead. But yeah, I don't know what is being said there. Have you heard the English version of the song by a singer on YouTube called Olivia Reyes?
I think I did. It was in a studio, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was in a studio and it was only in part. Like we never got the full song. She always said that she was going to release the full song, but sadly we haven't heard it yet. But I thought that was so beautiful.
And I loved the loose translation. Like it was not word to word, but
Mhm.
it actually made sense when she was roughly translating it.
Yeah, I love rough translations like that, where it's like a poetical translation, so you still get the rhymes and everything. I wonder what it must have been like for her. I mean, we know that she's a very modest person who doesn't really like fame. So, what do you think it was like because she said she wasn't expecting this kind of success, when suddenly, rather than just like in the rap scene or with some few fans, she's known all throughout France and throughout Europe and beyond. I think if it were me, I would be both happy and a little bit distressed, disturbed, certainly shocked, because suddenly, you'll get recognized in lots of places and people are doing kind of investigations into your personal life, which you're not really comfortable with.
And people are so invasive, and that's the opposite of what she likes.
Yeah, yeah, it's very sad. Um, but I guess, I mean, the fact that the music is being listened to and loved in so many different places must be a joy to her. And it shows that, she's had a huge impact and that the music really is meaningful to so many different people.
I think we can talk about how she acts on stage. Do you remember the like awards? I don't know which award it was, but she was like acting as if she was like falling down.
Energy Music Awards.
It was Energy Music Awards,
Mhm.
and I want to talk about how she acts on stage and she doesn't break character. And I think it's something so beautiful because I think in Energy Music Awards she was like struggling, like staggering, like struggling to walk around, and she was acting as if like she was talking on like tiptoes, and that's what she does on the music video. And I think in Tornadonavit she just like stands up in silence for a complete minute or so, and I think it adds to the character, and it makes the experience even more realistic, I guess. Do you have anything to say about this?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think she is a much better actor and dancer than we often focus on. I mean, we focus on her voice, but her dancing and acting are actually really good. And I agree, it really adds to her character on stage. It's like you're really almost part of the music video again. And also her hand movements. I mean, this doesn't really work on a podcast, but when she's saying peu d'amour, she does like the little bit, showing a little bit with her hands on the I can't do it.
And you know how she makes dance movements with her hands? It's like a bird flying.
Yeah, I think you're right about how she acts on stage. She has such like command and presence on stage. Sometimes with people on stage, you feel a bit like they seem nervous or you feel a bit uncomfortable for them. Like, is the performance going to go okay? But with Indila, it's just, that she has such confidence and such command. And it's quite different to how she acts in interviews sometimes. But on stage, she's so like in command and in control.
She's so expressive on stage. And whereas in interviews, she just keeps things to herself, which is a great thing for her. I really appreciate it. But I also love how she explains herself on stage and how she acts.
Yeah, I think it reflects her whole philosophy that it's the music that matters and not her. So when she's being interviewed, they're asking her about herself. So she's like, I want to put this in the background. She's not very comfortable, maybe. But when she's on stage, because it's music, she's just totally comfortable with it. Um, we can also talk about why exactly it's a dernière danse and not just a danse. So, if there's anyone who doesn't know, and I guess everyone does, but dernière danse means last dance in English. And she's explained that it's a last dance because there's a phrase from, I think, Buddhist teaching that says that every time we close our eyes and open them again, it's a new life that's beginning. So the world is never the same. It's it's constantly changing and we're always saying goodbye to something, essentially. I mean, we're also saying hello to new things. but it's the last dance because the world is changing and it's not exactly the same as it was just before. Dernière Danse also had a big impact on other artists. I mean, just before the release of the song, some French artists, Matt Pokora and Maître Gims, listened to it. They were filmed listening to it and giving their impressions on it, and they thought it was, you know, a wonderful song. And other people in the French media, like Charles Aznavour, Michel Drucker, really supported her because of that song. But it's also had an influence on global artists. So Camila Cabello loves Dernière Danse. She's even sung it a little bit in interviews. And she even made a song called Cinderella, which was, she didn't publish it, but she used, essentially sampled the beat of Dernière Danse for that. So she's a fan. And also Britney Spears, quite famously, is a big fan of much of Indila's music. Well, that concludes today's episode about Dernière Danse. In the next episode, we are going to be talking about the great release of the album Mini World, and we're going to be talking very quickly about all of the songs in that album and about Indila's first showcases, live shows in French cities. And we hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment and rate our podcast because it means a lot to us.
And we will see you next week.